Have you ever had a moment like this in your heart? Moments when you've tried everything, searched every path, but still couldn't fill that emptiness inside. In such a moment, a voice from an unexpected place changed the entire rhythm of my life. This is the story of a musician lost in a dimly lit studio, but it's also the story of everyone searching for their voice. Because sometimes, what we're looking for comes from the very last place we expect to hear it. And sometimes music isn't enough.
In the dim light of the studio, my fingers touched the keyboard keys once more. The same chords, the same melody. I was playing it for the third time, but something was still missing. It was always missing. I looked out the window. Seattle's gray sky seemed to reflect my soul. I was 28 years old and thought I had mastered every genre of music. From rock to jazz, electronic to classical, I'd played it all. But in the last few years, something had changed. "Alex, how did today's recording go?" Sarah poked her head through the door. My studio assistant was as energetic as always, but she'd been working with me long enough to know me well. "I don't know, Sarah. Something's missing, but I can't figure out what." I buried my head in my hands. It's like music isn't filling my soul anymore. I used to find myself in every note I played. Now I just hear empty sounds. Sarah came over and touched my shoulder. "Maybe you need a break. When was the last time you really rested?" She was right, of course. I'd been working non-stop for the past 6 months. The record company was pressuring me for my third album, but I found myself in a creative dead end. Every song sounded like a clone of the last. It was as if the creative fire inside me had burned out, leaving only ashes. "I think you're right. I'll take a few days off." That evening, on my way home, if you could call that empty apartment a home, I put on my headphones as usual. My Spotify playlist started automatically. But this time, I turned the music down. I started listening to the sounds from outside, the noise of cars, people's conversations, the rustle of wind in the leaves. Suddenly, I realized how long it had been since I'd heard these natural sounds. At home, there was silence. I didn't turn on the TV or play any music. I just sat and listened to the nothingness. It disturbed me. Silence had never felt this heavy before. For the first time, I was realizing how empty I felt inside.
The next day, I went out for a walk. I had no particular direction. I just wanted to walk. As I wandered through the Capitol Hill neighborhood, I saw a museum sign. Museum of Islamic Arts and Culture. Normally, I wouldn't go into places like that, but that day felt different. Maybe I could draw inspiration from different cultures, I thought. When I entered, the museum's silence enveloped me. But this time, it wasn't disturbing, it was peaceful. There was a calligraphy exhibit. The beauty of the Arabic scripts captivated me. The lines seemed to dance on the paper. "These writings are so beautiful. I wonder what they say," I asked an elderly man standing next to me. The man smiled kindly. "These are verses from the Qur'an, young man. I'm Ahmed. I'm a volunteer guide here." "Alex," I said, extending my hand, "I'm a musician. These writings seem to have a musicality to them." That's a very interesting observation. In Islamic culture, there's a deep connection between calligraphy and music. The Qur'an itself is actually a form of music. There's a special way of reciting it, called tilawah. Tilawah? The word sounded foreign to me, but intriguing. Yes, the Qur'an is recited with specific melodies and tones. It's not just to sound beautiful, it's to deliver the meaning of the words deep into the soul. Ahmed took me to the museum's sound room. Here, you can listen to different examples of tilawah. Welcome. I put on the headphones and played the first audio file. And in that moment, I felt like it was the most impactful music I'd ever heard in my life. I didn't know what the words meant, but the voice, the tone, the rhythm, everything was in perfect harmony. It was as if it was caressing my entire soul. I stayed there for hours. I listened to different qadis. Each had their own unique style, but they all shared that deep, peaceful effect. In just a few minutes, this tilawah had awakened emotions in me that music hadn't stirred for years.
That day at home, I typed Quranic recitation into the internet and watched videos for hours. One video on YouTube caught my eye, the most beautiful recitation that will make you cry. I clicked it curiously. In the video, a Qari named Mishary Rashid Alafasy was reciting Surah Yusuf. There were English subtitles. For the first time, I was learning the meaning of what I was hearing, the story of Prophet Yusuf, patience, faith, forgiveness. I was surprised when I realized I was crying. When was the last time I'd cried while listening to music? I couldn't remember. This was different. It wasn't just the melody. The words had touched the depths of my soul, too. The following days were spent listening to tilawah. I didn't go to the studio. When Sarah called, I just said, I need a few more days off. I found myself researching Islamic music online. I discovered a genre called nasheed. The first nasheed I listened to was Sami Yusuf's Al-Muallim. It was a blend of modern instruments and traditional Islamic melodies. This was exactly what I'd been searching for. Something that nourished my soul while also satisfying my artistic side. Marzan, Mesud Curtis, Rayhan, I was discovering new names every day, and each discovery pulled me deeper. Now it wasn't just the music, the lyrics mattered too. Longing for Allah, love for Prophet Muhammad, a sense of unity, compassion. These concepts were foreign to me, but at the same time, they felt somehow familiar.
One evening, I was watching a video of Abdurrahman as-Sudais reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. The subtitles read, "In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful." This simple sentence had a profound effect on me. Rahman and Rahim, compassionate, merciful. Until that day, I'd always thought of the concept of God as a distant, judgmental being. But in these names, there was something else: warmth, closeness, love. I started questioning myself. What do I believe in? What's the meaning of my life? Why am I here? I'd grown up in a Christian family as a child, but I distanced myself from religion at a young age. I thought science and reason explained everything, but now I was realizing I felt a spiritual emptiness. Late into the night, I began reading translations of the Qur'an. At first, it felt very foreign, but as I continued, some verses seemed to speak directly to me. And He it is who is the source of peace for the hearts. Unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah, hearts are assured. Surah Ar-Ra'd, verse 28. I trembled when I read this verse. This was what I'd been searching for, that peace, the deep peace I couldn't find in music. But at the same time, I was scared. This new world I'd discovered seemed like it would change my entire life. What would my friends say? My family? My career? I called Ahmed again. I told him about what I'd been going through. Alex, what you're experiencing is very natural. Many people who draw closer to Islam feel similar emotions. I'd like to invite you to our mosque. You can come to Friday prayer. You can just observe. When Friday came, my heart was pounding. I'd never been to a mosque before. As I stepped inside, peace enveloped me. People were quietly performing ablution, preparing for prayer. Everyone seemed like brothers. Before the prayer, the imam gave a short talk.
Our Lord created us from different races and tribes so that we may know one another and become brothers, he said. This sentence had a deep impact on me. When the prayer began, the Imam's Quranic recitation captivated me. Hearing it live with that beautiful voice was different. The peace of the people around me, prostrating in unity. This scene awakened indescribable emotions in me. After the prayer, Ahmed came over. "How did you feel?" "I can't describe it. It felt like I'd found home." That day, Ahmed took me to the mosque library. There were English books about Islam. I picked up The Heart of Islam. When I started reading it at home, I understood that Islam wasn't just a religion, it was a way of life. The 5 daily prayers, fasting, zakat, hajj, these weren't just acts of worship, they were ways to purify the soul and body. As the days passed, my interest in Islam grew. Every day, I listened to tilawah regularly and played nasheeds. Now, instead of pop music, the sounds of the Qur'an echoed in my home. One day, Sarah came to the studio. "Alex, we're worried about you. You haven't been around for 2 weeks. What's going on?" It was hard to explain what I'd been through. "Sarah, I'm going through a big change. Maybe you won't understand, but are you interested in Islam?" Sarah looked surprised. "Yes, and it's changed me a lot. For the first time in my life, I feel like I've found meaning." Sarah looked concerned. "Alex, isn't this too sudden? I hope you're not connected to any radical groups or anything." Those words hurt me. "Sarah, Islam doesn't mean terrorism. I'm trying to break down the prejudices created by the media." That night at home, I thought long and hard. How would my family and friends react? But that peace inside me, that sense of meaning, was more important than anything. I'd read a verse from the Qur'an. "And whoever desires the approval of Allah, while Allah is self-sufficient and praiseworthy." This verse had a big impact on me. I needed to prioritize what was right, not pleasing people.
Ramadan was approaching. Ahmed had told me about fasting. It's not just abstaining from food and drink, Alex. It's spiritual purification. It develops patience and empathy. You get to know yourself better. Can I fast without being Muslim? Of course, but if you really want to understand Islam, learning by living it is the best way. On my first day of fasting, I struggled. But when I went to the mosque in the afternoon and listened to tilawah, I felt a strange peace. Hunger had weakened my body but strengthened my soul. At iftar time, I was with Ahmed's family. The taste of breaking the fast with dates was different. Then we prayed the evening prayer together. I just stood there, but I experienced that sense of togetherness. Alex, I want to ask you a question this evening, Ahmed said after the meal. What feeling is in your heart? Peace, Ahmed. True peace. It feels like I've found what I've been searching for all these years. Are you ready to accept Islam? This question had been on my mind for a long time. Of course, I had fears and worries, but in my heart, there was a great desire. I think I'm ready, but how is it done? Ahmed smiled with tears in his eyes. It's very simple. You just need to say these words. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. That night at home, I thought long and hard. This decision would change my entire life, but now I was sure. The peace inside me, the meaning I'd found, the transformation I'd experienced, these weren't coincidences.
The mosque was full on Friday. Ahmed had introduced me to the Imam. "Are you really sure, Alex?" the Imam asked. "Yes, sir. I've never been this sure." I stood in the middle of the congregation. My heart was pounding, but I was determined. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. When I repeated these words, it felt like I was reborn.
The congregation exclaimed, Allahu Akbar, in takbir. Everyone hugged me, kissed me. Strangers were crying. Welcome, brother, everyone said. In that moment, I understood that I'd truly joined a family. Talking to my family was hard. My mom cried, my dad got angry. How could you do this to us, Alex? But I stayed calm. This is my decision, and it makes me happy.
After becoming Muslim, my life changed radically. I changed my name to Abdullah. I started performing the 5 daily prayers. Starting the day with the dawn prayer increased the peace in my soul. My view of music changed too. Now, I decided to make music not just for entertainment, but to convey beneficial messages to people. I began composing my first nasheed. The lyrics started with, "When music wasn't enough, the Qur'an gave me a new song." Sarah had trouble understanding at first, but over time she saw the change in me. "You look more peaceful, Alex." "Sorry, Abdullah." "Thanks, Sarah. For the first time, I'm at peace with myself." I had tough days with the record company. "These kinds of music won't be popular," they said. But I was determined. I wanted to make music that could give people spiritual peace.
Today marks 3 years since I chose Islam. My life has completely changed. I married a Muslim girl named Maryam. Together, we started a small music production company. We produce nasheeds and help brothers who are new to Islam. Last month, our first album was released, When Music Wasn't Enough. It received great interest from Muslim listeners worldwide. But more importantly, we've gotten messages from many people saying, "These songs introduced me to Islam." Yesterday, I received an email. "Salam, Brother Abdullah. I was a musician like you. After listening to your nasheeds, I started getting interested in Islam. Now I'm thinking about taking Shahada." I cried when I read that message. Allah had used me as a tool. Music was no longer just art, it was a way of invitation. Every evening, after the sunset prayer, I watched the panoramic view of Seattle from our home's balcony. As the city's lights flicker, I feel infinite gratitude in my heart. The lost, exhausted musician in that dim studio was gone. In his place was a servant reborn by Allah's mercy, who had found peace. When the evening call to prayer echoes, Maryam and I stand for prayer together, and in every prostration, I increase my gratitude for granting me this beautiful religion, this peace, this meaningful life. When music wasn't enough, the Qur'an gave me not just a new song, but a new life. And I am just one of thousands of Western Muslims living this story. Each of us has our own story, but they all share one common point. The peace of meeting Allah is indescribable. Our Lord, give us good in this world and good in the hereafter, and protect us from the punishment of the fire. Al-Baqarah 201.